Hello, everyone. Good morning to all of you who are joining from the US. This is quite different for us that we have a full house of participants joining all from the US, and we are really excited for that. I'm Mohammed Sohail Iqbal. I am representing Education USA Bangladesh. I work as one of the advisors. And like today, I'm going to moderate today's session as well. At the same time, I'm controlling Zoom. So when people are coming, I'm just hitting the admit button. Um, Thank you so much for showing interest in Bangladesh and joining us. This is the second of the two-part webinar series, Education USA Bangladesh, planned with the help of Sannam S4, our partner for this whole concept and kind of planning this for US universities. We know a lot of US universities are interested in coming to Bangladesh or recruiting in Bangladesh. So the first session was focused focused on undergraduate market, and we provided insights on that, and that session is also recorded and it's stored in the YouTube channel of the US Embassy in Dhaka. Today's session is being recorded, and we'll also try our best to also share on our YouTube or our Facebook channels. Our topic for today is graduate admissions, positioning the US beyond scholarship. Today's session is focusing on graduate market, but especially we want to also discuss beyond scholarship, what are the things we can do, what strategies US universities can take. Just to give you a perspective that most of our graduate students go for PhD, and so that is a higher number. So we want to also focus on how we can increase the master's level students. And for this discussion, we have wonderful panel. First up, let me introduce. First up, to give the welcome remarks from the embassy, we have Ms. Sharlina Hossain Morgan. She's acting public affairs officer at the US Embassy in Dhaka. Welcome, Sharlina.
Thank you, Iqbal.
Thank you. And then we also have a consular representative joining from the US Embassy's consular section. Mr. Luis Linares, he is Vice Consul of at the consular section of the US Embassy in Dhaka. We have Ms. Meenakshi Sharma. She is country advisor at Claremont Graduate University, and she's going to give perspective and share her insights and experience from the US University perspective, she will also try to share her insights on how others can strategize or take the good practices. And finally, we have Ms. Lamia Rahman, who's an academic counselor at one of Bangladesh's very renowned and very upcoming university in the private sector, Bangladesh University of Professionals. So if participants you have questions, please use the chat box, and I'll try my best to pass it on to relevant guest speakers. And you can also direct your question towards any particular guest speaker. So without further ado, let me hand over to Ms. Sharlina Hossain Morgan for the welcome remarks. And we are really delighted to have her with us. So over to you, Sharlina.
Thank you so much, Iqbal, for the warm welcome and the introduction. Hello, everyone. What a fantastic group for us. It's quite late in the evening here in Dhaka, Bangladesh. It's 8 p.m., but I understand you all are spanning the diversity of the United States with your time zones and your institutions and the states that you all represent. It is an incredible honor and privilege to be with you here virtually today. And it looks like, I really look forward to welcoming some of you in person to Bangladesh later this year. And if not later this year, hopefully in the coming years ahead. As Iqbal mentioned, my name is Sharlina. Sharlina. I am the acting public affairs officer, but normally I'm the director of public engagement for the U.S. Embassy. And for us, a little bit dissimilar from our South Asian embassy colleagues, our Education USA services, most of it is actually housed within the U.S. Embassy. So Iqbal here, is an incredible resource for whatever you need. And if you ever need anything or have additional questions, feel free to reach out to the embassy, because we fully believe in the growth that Education USA really has abilities for in this country. I arrived here actually over a year ago. And in that time, even though we've experienced, of course, all of us, an unprecedented pandemic, it is quite extraordinary to see the level of growth we have seen in Bangladesh. Of course, we've seen a global downturn in the number of students that countries can send to the United States during this pandemic, but Bangladesh actually only experienced a slight blip, a 2% decrease, and thus consequently saw an increase in the rankings on the Open Doors rankings. And so I think we can actually very confidently tout that Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing markets for sending students to study in the United States. The numbers have really grown exponentially over the last decade plus, and we're looking at almost 9,000 students now annually that travel to the United States from Bangladesh. And as Iqbal mentioned, as the theme of this conversation today, a huge majority of those students do travel to the United States for graduate admissions. The number I think we're currently tracking is 67% of Bangladeshi students that go to the United States go because they're pursuing graduate studies. And as Iqbal mentioned, a very big interest in master's level programs. When we look at Bangladesh and where it's been, for us, the embassy, it's quite a pivotal year for us. We're celebrating 50 years of bilateral and people-to-people relations with this country. And, when Bangladesh was born 51 years ago, the amount of, young people who had access to educational opportunities, of course, was quite slim. And now when you look at those numbers, it's quite dramatic to see. This country is a country of almost 70 million people with a huge youth bulge under the age of 35. I would say probably 100 million people you would call are under that in that Bangladeshi youth category. So there's a huge target audience here that I think you all will find has incredible opportunities. In Bangladesh, we have 2 American spaces in the capital city, Dhaka. And then we have 4 outside of Dhaka in 4 cities: Rajshahi, Sylhet, Khulna, and Chattogram. I myself traveled to Chattogram with Iqbal just last week to tout studying in the United States. And a number of my teammates went to Khulna and Sylhet in just the last few weeks. So in just the last 2 weeks alone, our team did outreach in these 3 key areas outside of Dhaka and interacted with over 2,000 interested students just from those 3 cities. So I give you that small blip to share that there is really an incredible interest, that I think you'll find. It's, I'm sure many of you are here because you've already seen a lot of Bangladeshi students interested in your institutions. A lot study I met actually in Chattogram, a number of Bangladeshi students studying in South Dakota. We have a lot of diverse institutions represented here today, including some from my own home state of New York. And so I really look forward to this conversation. I look forward to meeting some of you all in person. And I think that you will find that there's really a lot of opportunities here in this country, the size geographically of the state of Wisconsin, but has a population of a lot more. I just want to end by saying thank you so much to Sannam S4 for being an incredible partner for us. And of course, our wonderful REAC, Lewis. It's so great to see him virtually, and we look forward to welcoming him to Bangladesh. And of course, Meenakshi and Lamia, who herself is a participant of one of our embassy exchange programs and is a great alumna. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you all in person. Over back to you, Iqbal.
Thank you so much, Sharlina. Without further ado, let me hand it over to Meenakshi. Meenakshi, you can introduce yourself again, but over to you for a quick presentation and also sharing your insights about recruiting in the region, and also in Bangladesh. What are the best practices? What did you observe? please take it from here. And then we'll come to Lamia Appa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sohail. I hope you guys can hear me all right.
Yes.
Yes, all right. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Meenakshi Sharma, and I work with Claremont Graduate University as a part of in-country representative of Sannam S4 in India. I have been in this space for more than 10 years now, and I have worked with various US universities, not only with Bangladesh or India, but at South Asia level. So there are a lot of insights that I look forward to sharing with you, and what are the best practices to recruit from this region and focusing on Bangladesh as a country. I have a short presentation to share, and I promise I'm not going to take forever to complete that presentation. And whatever questions you might have, please have them noted or put them in the chat box, and we are going to take it towards the end of the session. So just give me a moment. I'll share my screen with everyone. I hope everyone can see my screen. Great. All right. So going by the theme of the presentation, which is graduate admission and positioning the US universities beyond scholarships. So I will be talking about developing strategies. What are the ways that we can reach out to the students in this region in Bangladesh? So this is what my presentation will be focusing on. To start with, let's see what is the potential there in the region. And this is nothing new that I'm sharing. It is a well-known fact that it is the 8th most populous country in the world, with nearly half of its population, under the age of 24. So it has got a very young population, and that makes it a focus for recruiting the students for the US universities. There are about 70,000, between 70,000 to 90,000 Bangladeshi students travel overseas for higher studies. This is as per the UNESCO data. United States tops the chart when it comes to the preferred countries for Bangladeshi student, which is followed by Australia, New Zealand, Canada, India, China, Malaysia, Japan, Germany, the United Kingdom, and other European countries. What is noteworthy here is to notice that there are a lot of other countries that are looking at Bangladesh as their territory. So we have got a stiff competition here. Last year, if you look at the data, the United States gave study permit to roughly around 9,000 students, as Shirley shared. To be more precise, it was 8,598 Bangladeshis were given study permit in 2021, which is 3 times to what it was given in 2009. So these are certain facts to know what is the potential of the market. Now let's have a look at the push factors. And these push factors are very self-explanatory. Why students are looking to study in other countries, and particularly in the US. So here we are talking about the US universities. So the push factor for a Bangladeshi student is the current education system. There are limited number of opportunities in the top national universities that they have access to. There is a stiff competition there. Limited choice in academic areas, so they are limited there. Quality of educational institutes, teaching standards, which also refers to the limited resources in terms of research or in terms of the faculty quality, employability, as well as the limited exposure. Now, my next slide talks about the pull factor for the US universities. Again, no surprises. Anything that is pushing the universities, the students out is a pull factor for the US universities. So the good news is that US as a destination is on the top of their the chart, when the students are considering to study abroad. So all the pull factors are the amazing universities and the education system that US has, the opportunities that the students have, the academic freedom, the employment opportunities, the higher income and better working conditions and facilities, as well as the higher living standards, better services that they get there. So these are factors good enough to attract a student towards United States and complete their education. Now, talking about designing the strategies for international students, particularly about, talking about Bangladesh, is that it is important for any US university to understand that you are recruiting from a market where student has got n number of choices. Student is meeting with a lot of universities, right? Even the US universities, they are meeting with, there are so many universities that are trying to recruit from this region. So what is important before we plan any strategy or before we plan to recruit from here, to define certain parameters that is gonna be the basis of our communication, that is gonna be the basis of our recruitment, which definitely means that we need to define very clear recruitment goals for the region. So what are the, the goals? Are we looking at the short-term goals of recruiting the student for the next intake, or am I looking at increasing the number every year and reaching a significant number by the end of the 5th year? So we really have to kind of think of a very clear goals when it comes to building the strategies. Second is defining student persona for your university. So the amazing part of US university is that every university has got a very well-defined student persona. What kind of student you want in your university? And I'm sure it is easy to answer when you look at the student pool, or any student from Bangladesh who has been accepted by the university in the past. It is easy to look at that student and define your student persona and communicate the same when you are on the roads or meeting with people, to help them understand exactly what you are looking for. As I said that, it is the 8th most populous country in the world, which means that you will have to deal with big numbers, right? But when we are clear as to what kind of student we want, we are actually giving more clarity to our agent network. We are giving more clarity to our partners and stakeholders as to what exactly are we looking for from here in this market. What are the USPs of your university? Again, every university is unique and every university has got something special to offer, and based on the regional, requirement, what exactly the students are looking for, we can actually, sell that particular proposition in the market. For example, when I talk to the students, about my university, I always tell them that we have a small classroom size, which is 8:1. So 8:1 is like a private tuition at master's level. So this is something which I really kind of talk to the students about, and they find it like, very different to study in a small classroom setup. So just define your USPs. What is it that your university can offer to the student that others are not offering? And defining the right fit. So we know that we have around 4,500 universities in the US, but every university has got a different definition of the right fit. What kind of a student will be accepted in your university? So once you create and you have already listed these points, you already know that, when you are penetrating in the market, what exactly you are looking for, and you are able to focus your energies in that particular area and reach out to the, to the agencies or to the stakeholders or to the agents that can help you reach out to your target audience. So when we have clarity on that, then we move to the second step, which is the student recruitment strategies. Now, I have divided these student recruitment strategies in, in two parts. One is the short term and the other one is the long term. So when I say short term, as I said that you may be looking for intake in the coming cycle, in spring or in fall, which is a short term, strategy, which means that, you know, once in a year you come down to Bangladesh, participate in one career fair and have few agents to kind of sell your university. This is going to help you get the applications, will generate some interest, but you may or may not be able to convert them. That's kind of like still not very clear. So short term is not a very advisable way to go. Rather than, you know, I would advise you to go for a long-term strategy, which means that when you are here in Bangladesh, you are not only making an effort to reach out to your agent network or participating in the career fairs, you are also using that opportunity to create a stakeholder network. When I say stakeholder network, it will again differ from university to university. A stakeholder is ideally an organization or a person or an agency that can help you, you know, spread that word of mouth of all the wonderful work that is happening in your university, be it research, be it award-winning programs, or be it ranking, which is something that you cannot find on the net, something which is happening on ground. You really have to verbalize that to your stakeholders, start that conversation. And trust me, from my experience, our stakeholder network has really helped us to spread the word about the work that we do, right? So stakeholder management becomes a very important part of the student journey when they are looking for different programs. So if there is something happening in your, for example, mathematics department, or there is a research that has happened, or there is an award-winning research that the faculty was working on, or a student has done something significant, please speak about it. Please let people know. So those conversations, those dialogues are really important. You may not get the results or the benefits immediately, but as I said, it's a part of the long-term strategy. It will definitely benefit you and help people talk about your university. Will give them enough material, enough knowledge, enough talking points to really talk to anybody about it, right? Second comes the partnership with Bangladeshi universities. Now that is another a very long-term plan that you might have. You may want to start a dual degree program, or have a joint degree program, or have student exchange programs. Depending on which university matches the vision and mission of your university, you can always shortlist Bangladeshi universities, reach out to them. The private universities are open to this kind of partnership, you know, meet with their international placement offices or international affairs offices. They have counselors. Some universities have these counselor offices. So reach out to them, start talking to them about it. It may be a long shot, but it is start getting that word out about your university, right? And this really helps, you know. Third is the agent counselor training. Now, what I have seen and many of the universities do is to hire few agents in a particular region, and they expect like good numbers to come. And many a times they are disappointed because the agents are dealing with hundreds of other universities, you know. So to ensure that their knowledge is refreshed every now and then, make sure that they are being trained on any kind of changes that you are introducing in the admission requirement. Or if there is no change at all, even then you are training them on an ongoing basis. You have got the quarterly plan to train your agent counselor. This can be done online as well, but you know, having that meeting, that connect is gonna keep your university on top of their mind. So that is something which you need to make an extra effort, but that really something is which is kind of worked in the past, right? The fourth point is the in-country representation, and this kind of in-country representation, I'm an example of that, I am part of Sannam S4, but I work for Claremont Graduate University. I look after the outreach and marketing activities in India. So when I am working with, different agents, different stakeholders, I am actually representing the university. And when I am with the university, I'm representing the region. So I play this dual role wherein I'm filling in all the cultural gaps or all the cultural, all the questions that either parties have, and answer all of them. But this is something that some universities adopt, not all of them. But this is one of the ways you can strategize your outreach and make it more impactful if you're looking at bigger numbers. The fifth point is the social media and the website. Social media, digital marketing nowadays is a kind of a marketing that you cannot do without. Given that, Bangladesh has got a young population, they have access to internet. So please make use of it. Please make Instagram, page and have connected to the activities where you are reaching out to your target audience. For example, with Education USA, I had done an event called 20 Questions with Education USA. So they ask all the questions related to the university, to the programs, to the student life, which takes about 20 minutes to answer. And it is an interesting activity. So please engage in these activities, put the pictures of your, campus, have your students speak on social media about their experiences, So your digital marketing team can definitely help you to create, the region appropriate content, right? What can click with the students, have more South Asian students speak about their experiences if you are reaching out to Bangladesh, region. Similarly, website is something, that is part of the strategy because that is something that student keeps going back and forth. So make sure that it is updated, it is easy to navigate. And I'm going to talk more about website and how we can use it in my upcoming slides. But this is another one important tool to kind of take the message out to the students, right? And then comes the events. Now, events involve like workshops and webinars and information sessions and conferences. So these events are helping you to connect with the student one-on-one. They are helping you to grab 100% attention of the student. They are there with you. You have all their attention, plus the talking time is given to you. To organize those events, again, we are going to talk about it at what stage you should organize these events to reap the benefits of organizing them. And then finally comes the yield and retention activities. This is the final stage wherein the student has already been offered admission and the ball is in their court, whether or not they are going to accept the offer. This is again, you have to strategize it. You have to plan it in a manner that you are able to grab the student before they're making, at the decision-making stage, at the time when they are about to kind of confirm their admission, right? So these are some of the strategies that I have listed out. Now let's look at this.
Meenakshi, sorry to interrupt you. We are a little running over time, so if you can make it shorter,
all right.
Then
okay, so
maybe we can come back to you after we hear from other speakers.
Okay. This is my last slide. So is it, do you want me to kind of finish it off?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Go ahead and finish quickly, please.
Okay, so I have spoken about the strategies that you can implement, and I just want to take like another 2-3 minutes to tell you about the steps to recruit masters and PhD students. Now, the very first stage that comes in the student recruitment is student identification stage. I have already spoken enough about creating a student persona, the right fit, what exactly do you want in a student, and communicating the same to the agents, to the local universities that you wish to partner, and the stakeholder. This is where the identification, your chunk is gonna come from. Second comes the program visibility, when the student is deciding on what program they would want to go for and why they should go for your university. And this is where the website comes in, play a very, very important role. Whenever, like, you know, I am doing any kind of an event, as a best practice, I always take them through the website, or always tell them how to navigate my university's website to be able to find all the information at one place, you know. Developing effective networks with local university and stakeholders. Again, your word of mouth that you are, sharing with your stakeholders or the local universities is going to play a very important role, because student is going to make a decision based on more than one source, right? They want to hear it from multiple sources to make to understand that your university has got credibility. Develop prompt and effective response, just to be more professional with them, you know, have emails, have phone calls, have video calls, create that connection. The third stage comes at the prospective and the application stage, where student is preparing the application, right? This is the time when you can have the information sessions with them, webinars, share the stories, the success stories of their students from their region, involve faculty and alumni if you need to talk about placement, or if you need to talk about the curriculum, and share the experiences of the student as to why, what is the success story of a student from the same region. If you have never ever recruited from Bangladesh before, you may please reach out to any other student from South Asia. It can be an Indian student. Because we are culturally so close, it will definitely make sense for them to hear from them, and it definitely works. Organize workshops that help students in making a strong application. Now, these are the additional resources that you can offer to the student, how to write SOP or how to make your application stronger. So at every stage when you are, talking to them, you have to tell them that you are the facilitator and you are there to help them put together a very successful application, right? Stage 4 is the admission and enrollment stage. And this is where the student will start the application, but not complete it all the time. Again, following up with them, writing emails or having a phone call if they need any assistance, you know. So it helps you build that connection. It helps you to enhance your role as a facilitator to complete the application and help them in making the final decision. So now you are already in communication with the student. You have already built that rapport. They do listen. They do hear you, you know, what you talk about. So you have to build that rapport, because we are culturally, we are from that part of the world where we need that human connection. We do not believe a lot on emails or on just phone calls. We want to have those video calls and conversations with real people, right? Reach out proactively to answer all the questions. This is a part of the yield, to answer as much as you can. And if you cannot answer the regional queries that they might ask, please have a current student, talk to them and be a part of that conversation. Pitch in where it is needed. And if it is not your university, ask them about the choices that they made and why, because this is going to define your strategy for the next year. So that's all I had to share. Thank you so much for bearing with me, and sorry if I've already kind of overshot the time.
No worries, no worries. That was extremely useful. Please stop sharing your slide. And I kind of really like and echo with you on using the alumni network and the students. And Education USA welcomes any current student or alumni in to talk at our centers with our students. So if any of your students and high achieving students, we have featured them on our Facebook pages. So we really invite you to reach out to us to if you want to highlight any students through a presentation, or share their experience of writing a stellar SOP, statement of purpose, or the admissions best practices, how they have achieved a scholarship or financial aid, things like that. So we really like to hear from you on those kind of things during the International Education Week, or in the graduation ceremony time every summer. If you have someone from Bangladesh as a featured on your website or on your social media, please also share with us so that we can kind of chime in on that. So thanks so much to Meenakshi. Let me quickly turn to Lamiapa. Sorry, my mistake. Like when I introduced Lamiapa and say the private university, Lamiapa corrected me. The University of Professionals is public university, but like the facility is so much so as a private university, we oftentimes make this mistake. Private universities in Bangladesh are more kind of organized or more like modern facilities. So University of Professionals is one of the newly built public universities where Lamiapa works in. So Lamiapa, over to you. Thank you so much. We cannot hear you. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me properly now?
Yes, now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Bhai. And I have just jotted down a few points, not as beautiful as Meenakshi has already explained, but just few points so that I quickly go through with these. So first of all, I'm going to talk about my experience when student comes to me and what are they demand for, what are they looking for. So that is what I'm going to talk about at the moment. So US is actually very known to be generous in providing scholarships and funding. This is one of the main reasons why so many students apply to US University. Believe me, irrespective of their academic background, all students who come to me for graduate admission guidance will ask, how can I get a scholarship? Or is there any funding available for that courses? Okay, so first thing in their mind is scholarship. And they're also concerned about cost of living as well. The lower is better for them. And, the students from our national medium is, they're taught in Bangla. So when they equivalency certificate, they require equivalency certificate to international university, right? So when they do that, our graduate degree or master degree shows equivalent to Western countries' bachelor degrees. So we understand that this is a big problem, and we as a local university need to be more effective. Our curriculum needs to be changed, and we need to be more internationalized. But from students' point of view, they are wasting 1 or 2 years of their life because they have to repeat the entire, graduate degree in Western countries or any international university. And again, in our country, like students wants to choose university only by their name and fame. Sometimes it happens that their name really they matter. So as Meenakshi already said, that you need to spread the word of mouth. And so it is very important that you do that so that students from Bangladesh, they understand what the other university, because there are so many universities, like 4,500 universities in US, and each and every university have some specialty to emphasize. So it's always better so that you can spread the word of mouth. And students also asked me about whether the university is multicultural or how much the acceptance rate is, the class size, all these things students always inquire. But students really feel happy when they get into a course with internship or co-op facilities. Very often, student ask or student wants to know about the work, whether they can work part-time or how long they can work. And these are the very common questions I get. And mainly student and parents, both they're concerned about their visa process. They definitely want it to be very quick and smooth. So students basically, at first they want to know about these things. They want to know about the university reputation. So they look into their websites, they go through their websites and try to find out which can be the good fit for them. Now, if I talk about
Lamia, you're muted. Cannot hear you. You are muted. Please unmute yourself. Lamiapa, we cannot hear you. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Okay, great.
Okay. The biggest challenge that we find is there is not enough information about graduate programs. So students don't know where to find the correct information. So they end up going to the agencies. Okay, and on the other hand, there are too many information in the internet, and they they become overwhelmed with all this information, and then they give up the searching, and they again leave the tedious work on the agency's shoulder. So they put all the responsibilities on the agencies, but I prefer if they can search by themselves, and they should be able to identify their good fit. So most local universities in our country, they don't have a career or academic counselor or guidance counselor or a strong student support center. So that is why students don't know whom to reach out, where to reach out. So they usually end up again to the agencies. Sometimes it can be really challenging to get a letter of recommendation, because if they ask a letter of recommendation, the professors sometimes they give a general recommendation. Probably your university is asking for a academic reference or on a specific subject or a specific area that you want to be covered. So it can be quite challenging for the student to get the recommendation letter. And again, you need GRE or Gmat. So in our country, it can be quite expensive for the student. So both GRE and Gmat is quite expensive. And in rural area, there may not be any option for coaching, or there may not be any center for GRE and Gmat. So they can sit for an exam. So if there is a student who is coming from a really rural area and they have applied to your university, you know that that person has gone through a lot to do that. Because many rural areas, they don't have this these facilities in Bangladesh. So now I would like to talk about the effective ways that you can outreach. I don't think I need to talk much about it because Meenakshi has already covered it entirely. But I just want to share a little bit that please do visit our local universities. That is very important. And please try to spread the word of mouth as much as possible, as Meenakshi has already said. And let me just share one experience of mine. In 2017-18, around that time, due to some political reason, we had a vibe that international students are not welcome in US. So there were students were thinking really whether they are going to go for US universities or any other countries. But in 2018, I went in US as an alumni, as a IVLP program, and I saw firsthand how warmly they are welcoming international students. So it is very important to convey the real message to us. It's very important. So I would always suggest that please do try to spread the word as it is. Now, opportunities that we have or we are offering in Bangladesh, I must say that Bangladesh was least developed countries, and in 2015, it achieved the status of lower middle income country. And we are actually aiming for becoming developing country in 2026. And Bangladesh is the largest economy in the South Asian region. So you can see, you can understand the economy is booming and the affordability is increasing as well. So nowadays people are choosing better option for their basic needs, like even like medications or healthcare or education. So parents, at our time, parents used to send the students for undergrad or graduation, for grad programs. But nowadays, from Bangladesh, they're sending their children or kids to study even primary and secondary studies as well. So the ability of spending money on education is definitely has increased. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this trend nowadays. Now, increasingly, you will know, if you notice very carefully in a job market, there are, places, especially in non-government organizations, they say they prefer if the candidate has a North American degree, at least one North American degree. So US universities has a very, very good opportunity. They can take this opportunity because most of the students, when they are looking for their job, they would like to have a degree from America. So I think this is a place where you can come forward and use this place, use this opportunity. And international universities are showing interest as well. They can have a joint approach with the local university. You can have that. Like in my university, we have 2+2 programs, and in many private university as well nowadays having a dual program. But mainly we are having dual programs with Australian universities and UK universities, not with American universities. But I would like to tell you that you can step up here and you can use this chance to have a 2+2 program, or you can use, you can take a pathway program as well. In Bangladesh, there are a lot of, nowadays, there are a lot of agencies are coming up who are providing the pathway programs, and people and students are going through them. So you can use or invest here. Our government is also giving a lot of opportunities for investing for international university. And so that's why in Bangladesh at the moment, we are seeing that there are a lot of Australian and UK university are coming up and they're investing. Yeah. So yes, that's all from my side, Iqbal Bhai.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you so much. If you can end the slideshow. I'll quickly, we are inviting questions through the chat box, but we have one more speaker. So let me turn to our consular officer for sharing any perspective. What are the kind of trends in the graduate student level you are seeing, or what are the challenges, or how can this US universities, what kind of information or preparation they can take when they offer the I-20s to their students, and anything from that. And of course, we have the question and answer. So participants, if you please use the chat box to ask questions, that will be wonderful. So thank you so much. Over to our consular officer from the US Embassy.
Oh, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I'm one of the 6 consular officers currently at the U.S. Embassy. You probably see myself or one of my colleagues when it's time to interview. I'm talking to a very qualified audience of students. So the first thing I'd like to do is perhaps just demystify anything about the process. I think the process is very straightforward. You need to come prepared, obviously, with the current passport, having done your online application and bringing a Form I-20 that you work with your university. We expect you to be very familiar with your university, perhaps one of the academic advisors, admissions officers you've been working with, familiar with your course load, your semesters, what you're going to be doing, and perhaps an explanation of how you plan on using your degree once you come back to Bangladesh. Like I said, this is a very qualified audience, but if there are any perhaps bad rumors on the internet, we're well aware there are message boards and WhatsApp groups, et cetera, where people just turn this process into this very mysterious process. Some people take bad advice from agents, unscrupulous people. Some people want to embellish their finances, or embellish their experience. There is no need to do that. Just please come as you are, come prepared, be honest with us, and you'll find it to be a very good process. We promise you the utmost courtesy and professionalism during your interview. So again, I'm really here to perhaps answer any bad information you might have heard out in the ether world, if you will. But we look forward to seeing you, and we wish you lots of luck as you pursue your education in the U.S. One rumor I'd like to demystify is that we like to refuse people. No, we do not like to refuse people. We want as many people to come and study in the U.S. We know there's a lot of competition. Those of you who follow politics, there's a lot of world politics, world power politics for influence. And obviously the US wants you to experience our culture. We want to learn about your culture. And we hope you can take the best of our values back to Bangladesh, and look forward to having future friendships with you, knowing you studied in the US. So those are my brief comments. Again, everybody, thank you for having me this evening. I hope, thank you for all the speakers. It's very informative for me. And we look forward to seeing you.
So we have a question. Dr. Hasib asked, Hasib Ahmed, he asked that my admitted students from Bangladesh are having difficulties in scheduling visa interviews. Is there a shortage of open visa interview slots?
No, as we speak, we are working on this. As many of you are aware, or as everybody's aware, we had a pandemic that really changed things for the worse. So we have a big backlog. We've been working very closely with EducationUSA, our public affairs section, the foreign ministry, to try to open up more interview opportunities. As a matter of fact, we're going to try to open up some Friday interviews, perhaps even Saturday interviews. We're going to have our first Friday interview this week. So this week we hope to interview 600 students in one day. Excuse me. I would also suggest you check our interview schedule daily, because people do cancel. And like I said a few seconds ago, we're going to open up some Friday and Saturday interviews, because we are very conscious of the fact that we are a bit behind. And so we want to make it as easy as possible, open up as many slots as possible within our staffing limitations, to be able to interview more people before the semester begins in the August-September timeframe. And we'll do the same as we approach January for that winter semester. I mentioned the COVID earlier. COVID affected staffing at the embassy, but right now we are getting new staff. We are going to be reaching the staffing levels that we had here before COVID. So it'll be easier to interview more students on a daily basis. So we should be able to increase the number of slots as well. So just keep your eyes open every day, check daily, and you probably see some opportunities for interviews. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we ask for any closing remarks from our guests, I just want to share a couple of quick announcements. One is that we are hosting our pre-departure orientation in early July. We'll send out email blast tomorrow to all of you. So if you have any students coming to US for this fall, or like even next month, or before fall, please share with them. We will accept, or we'll have students who are still waiting for visa interviews are also allowed to join the pre-departure orientation, because we'll also have representation from different areas, like including US HAIs for mental health, or how to stay well on F1 student visa, those kind of information. So it will be helpful. So we'll send out, please share with any of your incoming students. The other thing is we'll keep sending you information on our fairs and events like this. So we had one of the biggest events in our history last year for the virtual fair. The last time we hosted an in-person fair was in 2019. So we are working on to have a big engagement. We'll keep you updated on that. So we have another question. No, we just have a comment. Yeah, since it is a growing country and top priority is funding, will the amount of scholarship funding have an impact on visa approval? I think the question is for our consular officer.
From my experience doing this over 6 years, scholarship funding obviously shows a very qualified student. It's going to increase your chances of approval, but also self-financing, whether it's yourself, your family, if it's there, you can prove it, there'll be no issue. One of the things that we've been told about, depending on what country we are, some cultures see scholarships as a sign of weakness, that somebody perhaps doesn't have enough money and needs to ask for help. No, you shouldn't see it that way if you do think like that. A scholarship is a very positive characteristic to have in your application. It shows you have incredible talent, expertise, academic knowledge to go to one of our best universities. So I highly encourage you to apply for a scholarship as you're going through this process. There is no negative stigma to scholarships as far as we're concerned. It's actually a big plus. Thank you.
So I do not see any other questions. We are mindful about the time and respectful for everyone's time. Just sharing my perspective as an educationist advisor is like I have seen a student going this summer for a master's degree with full funding. So this is a kind of example I want to share, and if we have opportunities, then we can share those case studies with you in the future. I myself is going. I'm going to the EducationUSA forum. Joining there. I hope to see you all of a lot of you in the forum as well and share this perspective. But Bangladeshi students are willing to pay. There are a lot of master's level students, especially they go on partial funding. And then once they finish one semester, they somehow manage more funding, and that is a trend I've seen in many of my advisees and students. So with that. I want to quickly check with Sharlina if you want to give any closing thoughts before we end.
Thanks so much, Iqbal. I will chime in without my video because I'm almost getting ready for bed, but I just wanted to reiterate the fellow panelists' comments and thank everyone for joining. As my colleague Luis mentioned, of course, it's an unprecedented time with the pandemic and we're still catching up on the visa side, but our consular colleagues have been doing some Herculean efforts to ensure that we can get as many students as possible out the door to the United States, this summer and fall and onwards into the coming years. And we really look forward to welcoming you all to Bangladesh. And as I reiterated earlier, I really hope that everyone can always look out to, of course, Louis, our REAC in Delhi, but also to us, the embassy, and our Education USA for any other future questions that you may have. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you, everyone. So, you know, we hope to stay in touch with all of you and reach out to us. I've given the EducationUSA email address, and like, you know, our React is always there. And like, if you reach out to React, Luis also, like, you know, will be able to get in touch with, help you get in touch with us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Charlena. Thank you, our consular representative from the US Embassy. Thank you, Meenakshi. Thank you, Lamia. And thank you, Luis, and everyone for joining us this evening, our time, and this morning. You have a great rest of your day, and we hope to stay in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending.